All right. Hello and welcome to the first ever non on air show for my new show here. And we're going to be joined again by RB, who I had on my other show, Cine Show. So, RB, please talk.
Hi, um, oh, what do you go?
Just say hello.
Hello, and I'm happy to be here today. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
So, RB takes a little bit to warm up, but that's all right. Um, we're going to be talking, I think, mainly about the Dark Knight trilogy. Maybe we'll go off, maybe we won't. But we saw these films. We saw like probably Dark Knight like a month and a half ago, and then maybe a month ago we saw Batman Begins, something like that. So we saw it out of order. Um, but I think it's fair to say we both enjoyed it a lot. And do you want to like say anything about that?
Yeah, I mean these movies have been they were the films that really did it for me in terms of getting me more interested in film, as entertainment and as art, and so they hold a special place in my heart, especially The Dark Knight. So I'm really looking forward to talking about them more today.
That's true. When I believe it was yeah, it was 10th grade. Yeah, 10th
11th
grade.
grade, I think. Yeah,
Was it 11th?
yeah, it was 11th in the fall, I think.
Okay, well, I told Raj about the Dark Knight trilogy, and that kind of got him into film for the first time. I think at this sort of level. Here, just move your mic a little closer to your face and like straighten it out a bit. Yeah, so I told him about this while we were in school. I also told him about Casino Royale, which I think those were the movies that got him into it. And it's funny because I would say the Dark Knight trilogy did also have a big effect on me as a child. I was given the sort of the set because Dark Knight Rises wasn't out at the time, but I was given a two movie set by my dad's cousin's husband, who's a German. He came to America and he gave me the set, and I really enjoyed them, and I would watch Dark Knight all the time, and it became a tradition with me and my cousins at the time to watch Dark Knight for Halloween. So I was really into it, and it's I think it's still holds the place as the most rewatched movie I've ever seen, although maybe it's been overtaken by episode 3 of Star Wars nowadays, but who knows. I think the movie has tremendous rewatch potential, but what I've noticed in the past couple years when I rewatched Batman Begins is that people don't talk enough about Batman Begins. So let's start with Batman Begins.
Sure. So yeah, as as Nima said, these films hold a special place in both of our hearts, and I emphasized The Dark Knight before, but um, I I think that Batman Begins really doesn't get as much attention. It doesn't get the attention that it deserves, and it's overshadowed often by its successor. But I think it sometimes deserves its own level of attention because of a lot of things that the film has and does differently than The Dark Knight, and I think that's what makes it unique in its own right. And one of those things is, well, obviously, it's just a phenomenal origin story. I think that it's certainly one of the best origin stories that I've seen in film, um, that comes to my mind. And second, the cinematography and the atmosphere that movie utilizes is really, um, it's kind of the perfect fusion of both realistic, like gritty um, action cinema and also more comic book type uh, um, atmosphere. So I think that that is kind of unprecedented in a superhero movie. So I think that it deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yep, that's a great sort of summary of what this film does well. And so going on like that, it's an origin story. I'm reading the synopsis right now, and the film starts with a child, Bruce Wayne, who falls into a well that is filled with bats, and it causes him to develop a phobia. And basically, we get to see Bruce with his father, who's like a very kind and loving man, and he like kind of takes him on the like above ground subway, whatever it's called, and he's like, our family built this, and he teaches Bruce that like he's supposed to give back to the city of Gotham, and he says like Gotham's been good to our family, Bruce. And then they go to the opera in a kind of bad part of town, and it's this one Mozart opera that I forget the name, but it involves bats, and Bruce like has a panic attack or whatever, and he's like he wants to leave, so they leave. And I like this one detail where um, Bruce's mom is like, "Why are we leaving?" or something, and the dad is like, he says something like, gives like a dumb excuse to like shield Bruce from being criticized, which I liked. And then the criminal Joe Chill mugs his parents outside the opera, and this is one of my favorite imagery from a comic book and film. I love the pulling of the pearls and the shooting. It's like so beautiful. It's like their wealth and their sort of finery is stripped away by this criminal who kills them. And it's really actually quite a emotional scene for a bunch of characters you've never met before in this universe. And yeah, it's just really good. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, one thing that I really want to bring up is I mean, obviously it's a very emotional scene, and one of the most emotional shots is when Bruce is sitting down next to his parents who have just been shot, and the camera
Oh,
slowly pulls away.
yeah.
It's incredibly um, it's a very powerful, and I think that it's definitely one of those scenes and that shot specifically that really gets you invested in this story at the very beginning.
I also love the one I forgot to mention where Commissioner, or I think he's like lieutenant at the time, but he puts the his father's coat on Bruce's shoulders,
Oh yeah,
which comes back at the end in Rises when Bruce is asked by Gordon, like Gordon's like, "So what's your name? People deserve to know who saved them." And Bruce is like, "It doesn't matter who Batman is. It could be just a simple act of kindness, like putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to tell him the world hadn't ended." And I like that because that's when Gordon realizes who Batman is.
very true. Yeah. So, um, would you like to move on
Yeah.
or talk more about Batman Begins?
Yeah, sure. I'm just continuing on the synopsis.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's 14 years later, and we meet a older Bruce Wayne who's a lot less pure than his child self, and he's basically upset that his parents' killer is getting parole, and Bruce goes to the courthouse intending to shoot Chill. And then there's this great scene where like the judge is like, "I trusted a member of the Bruce family is here today," and Bruce like gets up, but the background is all blurred. Um, you see the killer's face and the background's blurred, but you see Bruce stand up, and then the killer or Chill is leaving the courthouse and the media is everywhere and Bruce goes to take out his gun, but this woman is like, Falcone sends his regards or whatever she says, and shoots Chill. So basically saving Bruce from what would happen to him if he had done that. And then he's in a car with Rachel and he's like, your system is broken. This is not real justice. And then he admits that he was going to kill Chill. And she's like, your father would be ashamed of you. So it's a very rough scene with his like childhood best friend and, prospective lover. Um, And yeah, so let's stop there because the next scene is also quite good. So let's talk a little bit about this. What do you think about like Bruce becoming all, vengeful and angry?
Um, I mean, I think that it's kind of expected, um, given what happened to him, uh, as a child. But at the same time, um, I'm, it's almost, the audience still is not sure if he's actually gonna go through with
Uh-huh.
shooting Chill, and that's what's interesting about it. And of course, he ends up not even having the opportunity. So it is kind of a interesting like point of ambiguity. Like, do you think he would have shot him or not?
Yeah, I agree. Um, and I do like the like final line of that sequence where it's like your father would be ashamed of you, which is like sort of a trend that continues throughout this movie where Bruce is kind of over his shoulders is his family legacy. And is he living up to it by being Batman, where nobody knows what he's doing, yet he's doing great things, yet his sort of, he's playing like a douchebag billionaire in real life. But, yeah, so anyway, this is a really good scene that I love. It's in this like bar where we're introduced to Carmine Falcone. Basically, Bruce goes in and he's like, um, he wants to show that not everyone in Gotham is afraid of you. He says to Falcone, and Falcone's like, only those that know me, pal. And he gives this whole speech where he's like, in here I have a judge, a district attorney, something, something, and I wouldn't have a moment's hesitation in blowing your head off right now in front of him. That's power money can't buy, the power of fear. And then he basically like threatens Rachel in front of him, and I really like this scene because I love how Bruce is totally just bulldozed by this guy that's so much better. I really do like the actor too, um, and the whole scene is just perfectly done. And it actually teaches Bruce something about the power of fear, which comes into his superhero identity using his fear of bats to frighten criminals. Do you want to say anything about that scene, or should we move on?
Um, I don't really have much to add on that one. I really do like the actor for Falcone,
Yeah.
and I think that yeah, it's a cool kind of dive into the underworld of Gotham. Like it's the first time you get to see that, and you literally do go like under Bruce and Rachel literally go under the like they go in an underpass, and it's quite a cool scene. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. So let's move on to the next scene.
Okay. I also think we'll just keep this episode of Batman Begins alone, I think, so we can focus on that.
Sure.
So then basically Bruce just leaves his past life behind and he gives his clothes and his wallet to this hobo and he boards a ship And then the next time we see Bruce is in a Bhutanese prison, so near Tibet, and he meets Ducard, played by Liam Neeson, who's actually one of my favorite actors. I find him very cool. And he basically reveals to Bruce that he knows who he is, and he offers to train him as a ninja of the League of Shadows, led by Ra's al Ghul, played by, or supposedly played by, Ken Watanabe.
Mm-hmm.
Ducard is the leader of the League of Shadows. Oh, well, this is actually spoiling it. We don't know that at this point. But essentially, the League of Shadows is a society, a secret society that punishes society that becomes too decadent or corrupt by like destroying it. So basically, like the sack of Rome, like the fire of London, like they destroy cities that are, I guess, morally corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a bunch of great training scenes that are really well directed, like this one sword fight on the ice, which I really like. And Ducard, as we know him right now, sort of imparts on Bruce that you're sort of the criminals of society and your enemies, you should not give any mercy to them because they will not share that same compassion for you. And the whole thing culminates with like the final initiation. But before we go into that, Raj, what do you think about Ducard and the League of Shadows and the whole sequence in Asia?
I think it's a very stark transition. Like um, it's it's something really unique, and you kind of don't expect it as like
Mm-hmm.
just going in like as a Batman movie.
I agree.
Um, and I think um, overall, I'd say that yeah, you're kind of uh, like it's quite cryptic in terms of who Ducard is and um, what's what's gonna ultimately transpire. So I do. I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say. It's a great scene.
So yeah, it all culminates in like the final initiation where Bruce is said he must um, behead a murderer that the League of Shadows has um, taken captive, and basically during this scene, wait, hold on, let me read here. Yeah, so during this scene, like Bruce learns that his mission with the League of Shadows is going to be to liberate Gotham by destroying the city, while he's said to kill this man.
Mm.
And basically, Bruce is reminded not to hold compassion for the evil people of society, but Bruce says like mercy is what separates us from them, and like this man must have a trial. We can't just kill him. And so he refuses, and he, in a very good action scene that I really enjoy with really awesome Hans Zimmer music, he like flicks up some like incense.
Incense.
It's like some fiery thing, and he throws it into like a room with gunpowder, and like the room blows up. And he fights a bunch of ninjas, and he kills the supposed Ra's al Ghul, played by
Yes.
Watanabe. And at this point, he escapes, but he takes Ducard. You know, not taking his advice about mercy, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess Bruce views him as a father figure. Um, and I guess he is because he does train him and he imparts on him knowledge and all this stuff. And he also challenges his own father's strength to defend his wife and child from this mugger, Joe Chill. But he saves Ducard, and he tells this peasant, like, tell him that I saved him. And yeah, there's also this very aura scene where there's like a private jet in the middle of the mountains, and what's his name? Alfred comes and picks him up.
Oh yeah.
Um, so Raj,
Mhm.
oh sorry, I said your name. RB.
It's okay.
Um, what about that scene, the escape and the refusal to kill, which is part of the Batman ethos?
Exactly. Yes. It's kind of the first time you see that part of Batman. And it is sort of. I mean, it actually is quite similar to the ending of The Dark Knight, where he refuses to let the Joker fall down, and
Yep.
um, I think that Nolan did a great job of just making that um, like a uh, making that aspect of the Batman ethos apparent in that scene, and then obviously the Alfred part. That's really cool. Uh,
Do you
so,
mind continuing the synopsis for me? I have to use the restroom.
oh sure.
All right, I'll be right back, guys.
So after this scene, um, Alfred comes in with the private jet and brings Bruce back to Gotham. Um, and he so while publicly posing as a reckless playboy, he takes an interest in his family's company, Wayne Enterprises, which is a technology and defense conglomerate. Um, and it is run by the CEO, um, whose name is William Earl, who intends to take the company public. So um, Bruce is not really, he is not um, fully in charge of his company, um, but you'll see that play out during the rest of the movie. So um, afterwards, Bruce meets Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, and he's a Wayne Enterprise employee who works in applied sciences. And this is where you see kind of the cool um, tech that Bruce will use as Batman uh, during this film and during the whole franchise. So um, Fox introduces Wayne to um, an armored car, which is the Tumbler. Um, and you have this really cool scene of um, them riding around this very large storage room, and it's just really awesome. Uh, and then also the protective bodysuit is something that Fox introduces Bruce to, so um, that ultimately is what becomes the bat suit. So um, it is a really cool scene. I it sort of reminds me of, it's kind of like a predecessor to Iron Man, like the technology that Iron Man um, uses, and the scene where he's introduced to that um, in the original Iron Man film. Um,
How did it go?
and I'm still speaking,
Oh.
so yeah, I'm talking about the scene uh, where Fox introduces Bruce to the technology. Um, and I thought it's really cool. I kind of compared it to like the original Iron Man film, like
Mm-hmm.
the technology scene. Well, in the beginning when Iron Man is introduced. So, yeah, I think this sort of sets the stage for um, what Batman is going to look like in this iteration of the superhero.
Yeah. So I'll continue then. Um, okay, so yeah, the Batman identity is formed after this, inspired by his childhood fear, which is sort of the League of Shadows, like turning fear into a weapon, but also what Bruce learned from his humiliation by Carmine Falcone. Um, so Batman, no, sorry, Bruce intercepts a illegal drugs shipment, empowering Sergeant Jim Gordon. Oh no, so it skipped a big scene here. No, so the first thing is like Bruce makes contact with Jim Gordon to like determine if he's a corrupt cop or not. That's the scene where he puts a stapler to the back of his head.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, and basically he determines that Gordon's one of the good guys and he can trust him. So and then he's also like, what will it take to take Falcone down? And he's like, leverage on the judge and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and so then there's that scene where, oh, hold on. Okay, so there's the illegal drug shipment scene where he makes his full appearance as Batman, and he beats up a bunch of guys, and he ties Falcone to like a a floodlight, which is like the bat symbol in the air.
Yeah.
And the part I like is he says, "Nice coat" to the hobo that's watching this, and it's the same hobo from the scene before, and it's sort of a nice circle, like a script that doesn't waste much material, and it's also like a joke because he's got a new suit too, Batman. And it's a very good action scene, and it also is starting to build the hint of the actual story, which is kind of like a unraveling thing. You don't really know what's going on with these drug shipments. Um, and yeah, do you have anything to say about that scene?
Yeah, it's one of the first scenes. It is the first scene where you see Batman in action. So, I think it's a really cool scene. And then you see uh, was this the scene with the Do we get introduced to the vaporizer thing here, or is
That's
that?
coming.
Oh, okay.
It's next. Oops. So yeah, there's a scene where, and this continues building on the story, where we're with Mr. Earl, who's like the head of Wayne Enterprises, who's taking the company public, who's told that a experimental energy microwave emitter that Wayne Enterprises develops has been stolen off a ship, cargo ship. Um, and that is that in the background of the story. But back in Gotham, Falcone and his henchmen are declared mentally unfit and transferred to Arkham Asylum by the corrupt Dr. Crane, who has been using Falcone to import a dangerous hallucinogenic drug that causes severe psychosis. And then this scene that's coming up is what I love. I love this scene so much. Um, the psychological evaluation by Dr. Crane of Falcone. So he walks in, he's like, and he starts like threatening immediately. Dr. Crane, he's like, I know you're bringing in these drugs, and I know you don't want them to take a closer look at what you're bringing in. And he's basically like trying to blackmail him to get stuff out of him, like get him free. He wants to be in on whatever's going on. This is when Crane says like, my boss is coming here to Gotham, and that he'll say to just kill you. And then Crane is like, do you want to see my mask? And um, yeah, that's the time he sprays him with the drug, and it's a really cool, like, surreal scene where we see Scarecrow, and we realize how Dr. Crane has been, siphoning off criminals to Arkham Asylum rather than go to the main prison. What do you think about that scene?
Yeah, it's a really cool introduction to Dr. Crane. Um, it's sort of, uh, I mean, I don't have much exposure to the comic books, but I know that it is quite different from like how Scarecrow he looks in the comic books. So um, it is quite an interesting um, approach that Nolan took with the character, and I really like the that kind of it's very it really is frightening, like when he uses the drug, and it does kind of tie into the theme of fear, and you'll see it even more throughout the latter part of the movie. So yeah.
All right, and then we also get this great scene where Batman is lit on fire while he's investigating the drugs. Basically, Batman sneaks into this abandoned apartment in like the Narrows, I think it's called. And while he's investigating the drugs in the apartment, Crane comes in and he's like, light the whole place up. And they find Batman, they spray him with the drug. And in one of my favorite one liners, Dr. Crane is like, you want my professional opinion? You need to lighten up. And he throws the lighter on him and he just bursts into flames. And then he like falls out the window. And it's really cool. I love that they use like an actual like guy in a fire suit that they caught on fire. It just looks so much better.
Mhm.
Anything about that scene?
Um, to be honest, I don't remember exactly what happened there, but um, yeah, if they did use an actual fire suit, that does speak to
Yeah,
Nolan's use of practical effects, which was really, um,
it looks really
it's
good,
really good. Yeah.
and it looks very realistic and painful when he's like rolling around trying to get the fire out.
Mm.
And he calls for Alfred, who picks him up, and then you wake up and Bruce is in bed, but then there's like Mr. Fox is there. So basically, Alfred had to reveal Batman's identity to Fox so he could synthesize an antidote. And Batman is like, "Can you make more?" Um, I also think Fox has been fired at this point, but Batman tells him just go in or whatever.
Mhm.
Rachel goes to Arkham Asylum, and this is kind of like when the shit hits the fan in the movie. She goes in and she's like very antagonistic towards Dr. Crane, and Dr. Crane is just like done with her basically. So he takes her to where they're dumping the toxin into the water supply, and yeah, she's like freaks out and runs for her life, and then the elevator doesn't move, and then he opens the elevator and sprays her.
Yeah.
It's very good. I like the element of horror in this film. That
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, none of the other films really have an element of horror. I wouldn't say they have a lot of suspense, but
Mhm.
Like this one has like straight up like horror, like the young girl going down a hallway, the elevator doesn't work, she's pressing all the buttons, and then the guy opens it and sprays her. It's like very it's very horror movie-ish. And basically Batman rescues her, um who oh yeah, this is another good scene when Batman rescues her. He I don't remember the one liner he says, but he basically grabs the spray and sprays it in Crane's face, and something about like getting. What does he say? Do you know?
No, I can look it up.
Um, let's see. What does Batman say to Crane when he sprays him? Oh, taste of your own medicine, doctor. And then he sprays him. I really like that.
Oh, yes, yeah, no, that it's a really cool scene of both of those characters. Um, and yeah, so
Another comic booky scene is with the bats that all come to save him.
right, yeah, so see, this is exactly what I'm saying. It's way more comic booky than um, I would say both of
Yep,
the movies coming afterwards, and I think it works very well here. Uh,
it does. It's like you said, fusion. It's a really
yeah, it's
good
fusion.
way to describe it. Basically at this point, it's revealed that the toxin is harmless, but it probably has to be inhaled through the lungs. And Fox says at the party, Bruce's birthday party, that like uh, Wayne Enterprises has misplaced a microwave emitter, and he was fired for asking too many questions about it. And then there's another great scene where this like old lady walks up to Bruce and he's like, "There's someone you must meet." And Bruce is kind of like his mind's on other things. Um and the old lady like leads him to a guy, and um she's like, "Mr. Raz Al Ghul, is that right?" And then Bruce looks at him and it's clearly not him. It's just some like bald Asian dude. And then Bruce is like, "You're not Raz Al Ghul. I watched him die." And then from behind him, Ducard walks up and he's like, let me get the quote right. I really like this
Hmm.
quote. He says, um, quote, he says, "But is Raz Al Ghul immortal? Are his methods supernatural?" And then Bruce says, "Or just a cheap parlor trick to conceal your true identity, Raz." And this is basically when it's all revealed that um, he was right not to show compassion for your enemies, that they won't show it to you back.
Yeah.
And Bruce has doomed himself and his city by saving Ducard's life out of some mercy and uh, like a fatherly love he had for him. And basically, Bruce puts on a good show where he like shits all over his guests, and he's like, "Get out of my house."
Yeah, it's a. I think it's quite a entertaining scene. Like, and it's also very suspenseful
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen between him and Ra's al Ghul. So, um, it's yeah. That's all I have to say there.
And then Roz says like, "Entertaining but pointless. These people only have moments to live." And
Hmm.
Bruce sort of tries to plead, like, to give him more time. He's saving Gotham, and Ra's al Ghul is like saying, like, you know, we loaded ships with plague rats. We burnt London to the ground. We sacked Rome. Whenever a city becomes too decadent, we return to restore the balance. And he says, like, with Gotham, we tried another tactic, economics, but um, we underestimated the resilience of some of Gotham's residents, like your parents. And it's
Mm-hmm.
sort of slightly ambiguous whether they had his parents killed.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but who knows? Maybe Joe Chill was
Mm-hmm.
like under the well, he was somehow connected to Ra's al Ghul. That's a good
He was
point.
like a patsy, maybe, or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting and it's very tense. And they start burning his house to the ground, and like a big beam falls on him. And
Yeah.
this is like where Ra's al Ghul is like, "You burnt my house down and left me for dead. Consider us even." So even
Yes.
Ra's al Ghul in this moment, he dooms himself, not with compassion maybe, but with like a warrior's honor, repaying a debt. Um, so he leaves Batman alive, and in a scene I love, which sort of kind of ties the arc that Bruce goes on with his family, this legacy in a bow. Like, Alfred comes back and saves him, and they escape down an elevator as there's a huge explosion. It's a really amazing scene. And at this moment, for the first time, Bruce is like I burnt my everything my father and my family worked for. Like I destroyed it all, and like in this moment, Alfred is like, the Wayne legacy is more than bricks and mortar. And he quotes his father when he says, like, why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up. And this scene always gets me. It's very sad, but also very touching. And Bruce is like, you haven't given up on me yet. And Alfred's like, never.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great scene. And um, as the mansion's burning down and Bruce and Alfred are escaping, I really like the music.
Mm-hmm.
That's another point that we haven't mentioned yet
Yep.
is the music of this film.
It's the best from the trilogy.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I mean, I think certain tracks are used in other
Yeah.
of the films, but like Dark Knight has a very different feel in terms of music. It fits very well with the Joker. But this one is really it's one of Zimmer's best work, and it's unique that every track is named after a specific bat species, and I thought that's really cool. I've listened to the soundtrack many times.
Yes, it's very good. And yeah, basically, Batman rushes over to Arkham. It's like an island that they've lifted the bridges, and he managed to get on, and he saves Rachel and Joffrey Baratheon from a mob. You know,
Oh yes, yes, that
Joffrey,
same actor, Prince Joffrey, but very, very
young.
young.
There's also a really cool scene from this where there's a guy riding a horse and it's breathing fire.
Oh yeah, that's under the influence of that drug.
Yeah, that's
It's
the cool part. The whole surreal drug
yeah,
direction.
it's really cool. Um, there's many unique scenes. Well, one other one that I like is Batman. This, Batman yelling at Crane, saying, "Where are they?" I think, and Crane himself is on is. um, intoxicated, and so the the
Oh yeah.
Batman's the mask,
Yeah.
it looks really quite
Scary.
scary and really cool.
Yeah, so he takes Rachel and Prince Joffrey up to a roof, and this is like one of my favorite scenes in the movie that once again relates to a earlier scene that the synopsis didn't mention at a hotel when Bruce is sort of partying it out with his money, and he bumps into he's with two models, and he bumps into Rachel, and Bruce is like, underneath this, I am more, and Rachel says, you may be still that great kid I used to know, but it's not who we are underneath, but what we do that defines us. And then in this scene where Batman saves her, she's like, you might die. Please at least tell me who you are. And Batman says, it's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. And she says, Bruce? And then it plays Hans Zimmer music as he flies away. It's so epic. It's like so good. This movie is so good, and I love how it like always refers to things that came earlier so succinctly with like even like one-liners, like the part where he's like "nice suit" to the hobo, or "It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me."
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think about that one. The nice suit to the homeless man. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think it's just a great. Um, the writing is just fantastic. So
expertly done for sure.
yeah.
Um, and basically at this point he flies off to go fight Ra's al Ghul, and they're on the train his family built, so very poetic, as they travel towards the hub of the plumbing, which is um, Wayne Tower. And it's a really amazing scene, especially because there's a certain part where the alarm of the pressure in the water pipes synchronizes with the soundtrack. It's a very subtle thing, but I love it. And he fights Ra's al Ghul, and Ra's al Ghul is like, you finally learned to do what is necessary, saying that Batman will kill him. And then Batman says, um, he says something like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. And then he, like, just flies back and out of the train as Ra's al Ghul plummets to his death. And he wins. Anything about that?
I mean that I love that scene. It's just so action packed and raw. I think that I mean I don't have anything more to add really. I think it's a great third act. I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy the third act of the film in terms of just resolving um, all of the all of the tensions that have been created throughout the film, and yeah, Ra's al Ghul's ultimate um, well, I mean technically he's not gone completely, but it's yeah, it's a great scene. That's all I have to say.
And then the final scene of the film ends on the supposed ruins of the Wayne legacy, which is Wayne Manor. Um, as Bruce, actually, before that, there's a scene where Bruce is in the Bentley and he's driving, and Mr. Earl is saying like, "You can't appoint Fox. We're going public. You don't own the company." And Bruce is like, "I bought most of the shares." So that happens, and they're reading the newspaper, and it says like drunken billionaire burnt down house, but that's only on like page 8. And then the final scene is on the imagery ruins of the Wayne legacy. the burnt down house, and Rachel comes there, and she expresses that, she was wrong. His father would be proud of him, and that if there's a day that Gotham no longer needs Batman, they can be together. And I find their romance very compelling. I find that it's kind of in between like a friendship and romance, and um it's just it's very like noble from both of them. Like they both understand like Bruce has a duty that's beyond and really can't include like loose ends.
Mhm.
And he's like a servant and she is in a different way. And it's a really touching scene, and Bruce is like telling Alfred like rebuild it brick from or brick by brick or whatever he says,
Yeah.
and Alfred expresses that he thinks they should make some improvements to the Batcave. I think he says like on the southwest foundation or something.
Mm.
But that's the movie. Oh no, no,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
You gotta finish it up.
I can't miss that.
Yeah.
The best teaser of any sequel, basically. I mean, I don't know if it's between this and like Kill Bill #1, which is like her daughter is still alive. I really like that one, but this is like probably the most iconic teaser for a film. It's Batman on top of the police department, and the floodlight with the bat symbol has been inaugurated. And you know, Gordon's like, you got the bad guys running scared, but what about escalation? Like, we use automatic or semi-automatics, they buy automatics, etc., etc. But then the film ends with Gordon telling Bruce that there's like a new guy on the block, and he leaves a calling card, and he has a taste for the theatrical. And he turns over the little card, and it says Joker.
Yeah.
And it's really like the perfect end to this movie. Like, you couldn't end Batman Begins better than like telling people like, just come back in like a couple years and this is what you're gonna see. And then they actually like delivered, which is so unheard of these days.
I agree 100%. And it's such a um like I I watched the movie knowing, that what the next film would look like. I'd obviously seen like pictures of Heath Ledger's Joker, but to think that people were watching this in 2005 not knowing what was going to come next, it must have been such like they must have been super um, hyped for the next movie, and I can't imagine what they must have felt after seeing the next movie. So, yeah, really great teaser at the end. Awesome scene.
Yeah. So that's basically Batman Begins. Um, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's one of my favorite movies. It's actually in my top 50, or it's like in my top 30. I rate it really high. I've had a rediscovery of this film where I don't think it's like way worse than Batman or Dark Knight. Sorry. I think that's an unfair statement. I think Dark Knight is better, but I ultimately think that Batman Begins is like a perfect superhero film and like a really perfect movie. There's very little wrong with it, and from the dialogue to the screenplay to the direction, cinematography, acting, it just hits all the boxes you want. Give it a watch. You have anything else to add?
That's all I have to. I mean, I think I've said pretty much everything there is to say on my end, but yeah, if you haven't seen Batman Begins, you must watch it. I think it's an essential viewing, not for it's for everyone really. Even if you don't like superhero movies, you will enjoy the trilogy. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah, I agree. All right. See you guys.